Get ready for another drama, as Netflix isn't about to give up after how successful the Jeffrey Dahmer story turned out, and this second season is just about to change everything and cause more chaos. The controversies surrounding the Jeffrey Dahmer story were one of the things that put the show among the most watched series on Netflix. Also, the viewers can't get over the great performance by every cast member of the Jeffrey Dahmer story, and due to this success, the renewal for a second part isn't so surprising. And Netflix has said that season 2 of Monster would tell another story of a monstrous act done by an evil person in society, just like Jeffrey Dahmer's story was told. So season 2 will follow how the first part was made by focusing on the victims and how long it took for the authorities to stop the criminal. The early life of the offender will be talked about too, without making the show too much about them. But it will be a limited series, just like the first part, and it won't be about Jeffrey Dahmer, except in cases where little references can be made to what he did, as many stories of serial criminals are still yet to be explored. So now that season 2 is coming on, there's a serial criminal who Ryan Murphy could choose due to how his name calls for attention and curiosity, and that is John Wayne Gacy. His story could be told in the next Monster season because he was hinted at in the first season. A few of Gacy's clips were shown in the Jeffrey Dahmer story, and there is a scene where Gacy and Jeff are linked together. This dark scene was when Jeffrey Dahmer got baptized in prison, and at the same time, Gacy was getting injected after being sentenced to condemnation. And also the obvious reason why Gacy could be the subject of the next Monster film is the similarities he shares with Jeff, and that's a big deal. Also, their similarities exceed the little differences some people might already know about them, and Ryan wouldn't want to pass on that. Unlike Jeff, Gacy is also known as Pogo the Clown. Gacy got this nickname because when he's not a monster, he dresses up as a clown and volunteers in children's hospitals to entertain them. However, in reality, Gacy is just like Jeff because he targets young men like Jeff did. Gacy also used to tamper with the drinks of his victims to make them unconscious before choking them out of breath. And Gacy hid the parts of his victims' bodies inside his apartment, just like Jeff. In Monster 1, Netflix focuses on Jeff's childhood, which appears rough and displeasing, and that could happen with Gacy too, because his background is just as puzzling as his crimes. Gacy grew up in Chicago, where he committed most of his crimes, and his sister Karen mentioned how bad his childhood was. Unlike Jeff, Gacy didn't have a loving father, but one who always drank and beat him up. Karen also said a contractor in the neighborhood was always intimately violating Gacy as a child. Then, when Gacy turned 18, he ran from home to Las Vegas, where he worked in a mortuary for a few months before returning to Chicago. And after all of these, Gacy had some interesting careers till he started committing crimes with mostly underage boys. Even today, many of his victims are still not known, but there is still a search to identify each one of them. So there's enough material on Gacy to spark digest and curiosity in viewers if Monsters 2 focuses on his crimes. However, Ryan Murphy adapting Gacy's story for season 2 would cause more chaos than the Jeffrey Dahmer story, because Gacy targeted mostly children, and trying to tell the story from the affected children's views could be dangerous and annoy many viewers. But despite these similarities between Jeff and Gacy, the pair never met, and Gacy was arrested in 1978, the same year that Jeff committed his first crime. And many viewers have speculated that Gacy may have inspired Jeff. This speculation sounds convincing because Gacy's story started to trend again when Jeff was caught. But the funny thing is, Jeff and Gacy don't like it when people compare them. Gacy's reason is that he doesn't know or care about Jeff, but Jeff thinks he's superior because he confessed to all of his crimes. And Gacy never admitted to doing wrong, even though he confessed to a few of the crimes. Gacy was later convicted of violating and taking the lives of 33 young men and boys. And this is more than what Jeff got sentenced for. And even though Netflix is yet to reveal whose story is next, it's kind of possible that it's Gacy's story next, given how the Jeffrey Dahmer story hinted at Gacy in the last episode of the film. Although Gacy wasn't the only one compared to Jeff in the show. Another popular monster, Ed Gein, was also mentioned during Jeff's trial, but it's less likely that the next part of the show will focus on him. His similarity with Jeff is digging up a grave, which Jeff tried to do, but it was too difficult for him to achieve, according to the film, and he couldn't go ahead with it. But in Gein's case, he dug the graves and unearthed more than 9 victims, and his story could also fill up a season and is just as disturbing as Jeff's crimes. Aside from these two, who share a great resemblance to the Jeffrey Dahmer story, Ted Bundy, Richard Ramirez, and Edmund Kemper could also get featured in the Monster story, since their crimes are so troubling that many viewers might have heard before. But one thing about Ryan Murphy's production regarding anthology series like Monster is that he likes to follow a particular theme without going off topic. So if he wishes to continue a show that will raise controversies on race and sexuality and get law lawsuit threats afterwards, he could explore the story of Lee Boyd Malvo and John Allen Muhammad. These two are also called DC Snipers, and they got rid of 10 people in Maryland and Virginia in 2002. And surprisingly, Muhammad and Malvo have a podcast known as Monster made about them, and their motive was never really known. With the possible interesting ways Ryan could take to make a compelling show that will be just like the Jeffrey Dahmer story, or even better than it, there's a need for the right cast to be in the film. And don't forget how Evan Peters nailed his role as Jeffrey Dahmer. Evan's role is one of the reasons why many viewers still have mixed feelings about the Jeffrey Dahmer story, because they hate Jeff but love Evan. And that's what Ryan would also aim for in season 2. He will want the right cast again, and looking at Ryan's other works, he likes to work with the same actors repeatedly. And you're probably guessing if it will be Evan playing the next monster, especially how Evan kept coming back to play dark roles in American Horror Story. But then it might just be another actor whose face is known with Ryan Murphy's works, because at the moment Evan is taking a break from the bad energy he went through while playing Jeff. For the supporting roles too, there will be many actors from other Ryan Murphy projects in the second season of Monster. Many viewers might wonder if the next monster story would be as famous as the first, and that's something to be concerned about. But Ryan's works are usually mind-blowing and nothing else is expected aside from that. However, Ryan could learn from the first season and take some necessary precautions that were ignored in the Jeffrey Dahmer story. And this is something huge that can change everything, even the narrative of Monster 2. In Monster 1, many of the affected families, including Jeffrey's father, all had big complaints, and that's because Netflix never got permission from them about doing the show and failed to compensate them after putting out their story like that. So maybe, this time, Ryan will go the extra mile to involve every party before getting season 2 out. Or maybe not. The backlash from the affected families is one of the factors involved in giving the Jeffrey Dahmer story its popularity, and if provoking more people will keep doing the work, Ryan seems ready for it. And with this renewal, Netflix has confirmed many theories that speculate that the streaming platform only cares about viewing numbers rather than other things. So to get higher views for Monster 2, Netflix would have to go even darker with the next story to get many more reactions that could make the film popular. Also, many controversial shows like this have always one thing in common, and that's making people react in a different mixed tone. And with Monster 2, everything will be chaotic again, and that's the aim of this renewal. When season 2 of Monster was announced, the head of global TV at Netflix, Bella Bajaria, said that the audiences couldn't take their eyes off Monster, the Jeffrey Dahmer story. So this answers how soon season 2 will be out, because they wouldn't want the excitement about Monster to cool off before releasing the next part. And yes, the viewers can expect Monster 2 to be back within a year and a half from the date of the renewal announcement. So that should be early 2024 at most. But because Ryan has been involved in many Netflix projects for a while and he's still getting busy with more film deals, he could take his time if he wants to make Monster 2 to be spot on and something that viewers will like. So the release date of season 2 to the time Monster 1 was released could follow the same gaps between American Crime Story, which goes as long as 2 to 3.5 years. And for this, the excitement to have Monster 2 very soon shouldn't get that high just yet, but it is coming. Do you think Monster Season 2 can change everything as the Jeffrey Dahmer story did? Share your thoughts in the comments, and thanks for watching.